Hello everybody, John back here again with another video, and today I bring you another movie review of the Dragon Ball Z series. This is a part of my 13 days of Dragon Ball Z, and to continue this, I give you my review on the 5th animated feature film titled Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge. Now, of course, quickly before I start with my actual movie review, I just wanted to state real quick that obviously this has started with Dead Zone, and it's going to end with my audio commentary on Battle of Gods. But there's something I also wanted to quickly mention as to whether or not what version I should do. Should it be, because I originally wanted to have it be a live event, but I kind of see time-wise, it would just be better if I just do a straightforward audio commentary for the sake of the argument, and just put that nonetheless, because it's going to take a long time to get this down anyways, so I'm just going to do audio commentary. But I wanted to know what version I rather should do. Should it be the theatrical standard version or the extended edition that comes with the extra footage? What version would you prefer me actually do? Let me know in the comment section below, and let's just go right down into this review. Nonetheless, I think I forgot to mention this in my Lord Slug review, but Lord Slug and Cooler's Revenge were the first animated movies from the Dragon Ball Z series to actually shorten the length of their movies. Like, from Lord Slug on, that's when the movies were really, really short, where they were not really feature-length films, which I think was a big downfall with Dragon Ball Z movies, because it's hard to justify them or legitimately call them movies when they're not really that long. You know, they're only, you can watch Lord Slug and Cooler's Revenge back to back, like, in the span of like an hour practically. So it's not really that ambitious to watch these movies, specifically from here on. But it's not that big of a deal because they're still awesome. I just wish that Toei Animation didn't really do that. Maybe it's because of the writing. Maybe they didn't have like good constructive writers to really flesh out a story, as long as without, the help of Toriyama, which of course is why Battle of Gods is the way it is. But nonetheless, that's not me trying to bash Cooler's Revenge. Cooler's Revenge is obviously one of my favorite movies from the Dragon Ball Z series, and it's just a lot about it I like. The villain is awesome, the story's pretty interesting, the flashback sequences, the animation, the music, the battles, the fight, the stylistic choice. It's just a lot that goes into this that I fucking love. There's a lot of things that happen that I really like about this movie, but is it my favorite? We're gonna find out. But nonetheless, time-wise, if you want to use the good old-fashioned timeline placement as to where this is in the actual storyline, it takes place post-Frieza Saga. And if I'm not mistaken, this movie actually is the first to actually state where it's from. Because in the prior movies, you kind of get the gist of where they're coming from. Like Dead Zone obviously takes place before Dragon Ball Z. Tree of Mind obviously takes place within the Saiyan Saga. Stuff like that. But this one is so self-referencing that you can tell what they were doing with this. And it has a lot to do with the villain, of course, the villain choice with this movie. But this obviously takes place, and they state it in the actual movie, that this takes place roughly before the Trunks Saga, after the Frieza Saga. So right after the threat of the Frieza Saga is when this movie takes place, which obviously is very inconsistent, because obviously most of these characters shouldn't be there, specifically Goku. Like, Goku shouldn't be in this movie because after Frieza, he's allegedly, dead or out there in deep space, what have you, depending on whatever that freaking dragon stated at the end of the Frieza Saga. Goku was not dead, he was out in deep space and would be coming back home when he felt like it, which is odd. But nonetheless, Goku shouldn't be in this movie. So that's a huge, real big flaw with this movie. It's an error, but it's not really a big thing. It's the main protagonist of this movie, and of course no other character could defeat the main villain if it weren't for Goku, because at this point in time he was the only actual Super Saiyan. And this movie, amongst all its first-timers, is the first movie to feature an actual Super Saiyan. Lord Slug had the false Super Saiyan, which I gave my piece on, but this one is the actual first movie to legitimately have the Super Saiyan transformation. And one of the big things that I didn't like about this movie is like how long it took for Goku to become a Super Saiyan. Granted, it's implied that in the series if I remember correctly, Goku states to Trunks that for a while it took a long time for him to actually control and successfully use Super Saiyan. But with this movie, it's actually shown right there, where it's like kind of similar to his first transformation. The only way to legitimately become a Super Saiyan is to have that rage come out again. So that's what the big, long, really build up to the Super Saiyan transformation was all about. And I think it works for what they were trying to do, but at the same time it just felt a little off, because you have the Super Saiyan transformation there at his disposal. He could have defeated Cooler at any time. So it's kind of odd that it took so long in and of itself. But at the end of the day, it's not really that big of a deal. Nonetheless, let's get right down into the story of Cooler's Revenge. Of course, we get a good, interesting flashback prior to the events of this movie, where Frieza is destroying, obviously, the Saiyan planet Vegeta, and we get to see Goku in a space pod escaping the planet destruction, heading towards planet Earth, of course, where the series takes place. And Cooler is introduced as Frieza's older brother. Cooler is the elder brother of the Frieza clan, if you will, and essentially sees that the Saiyans, that he is not really happy with his brother. We kind of get the feeling that Cooler doesn't really give a shit about his brother Frieza, and really finds him as more or less a nuisance, like most freaking Dragon Ball Z characters, with the exception of Gohan and Goten. I get the feeling that Gohan and Goten are the only brothers in this entire freaking series that actually care about each other, which is really odd. I find that odd, like how so many people, like Vegeta, like let's put this in perspective real quick, alluding from the plot. Vegeta doesn't care about his brother. Raditz doesn't care about Goku. Goku doesn't care about Raditz. No one really cares about each other unless you're like a good friend. Like Goku Krillin, Gohan Trunks, and so on and so forth. But Gohan and Goten are the only actual brothers who care about each other like they should legitimately be. Doesn't anybody find that odd? That they're the only ones? I don't know. I always found that kind of odd, where it's like, this series, Dragon Ball Z alone, the story is built upon a brother who's trying to kill the other one. It's like fucking Cain and Abel, like from the Bible. It's like fucking Goku, Raditz, they both kill each other. I don't know. It's fucking crazy how, I don't know who came up with the plot of like brothers just want to kill each other in this series. But nonetheless, Cooler he gives two shits about Frieza. And then later on, he discovers the fact that the child who left the planet that he let go was in fact Goku, who years later defeats Lord Frieza on planet Namek, as the actual storyline intends to show us, and of course decides to go to planet Earth to seek revenge for Goku killing his brother Frieza. And he doesn't really, I find the interesting thing about Cooler is that he doesn't really care that Frieza is dead. The only thing he really cares is that the fact that Frieza at dying pretty much is dishonoring his family's name, and him fucking dying is basically an insult on himself. So that's more or less where he's coming from on a villain standpoint, which is what encourages him to go to Earth to fight and kill the Saiyan, which is Goku. Which I actually find funny, because it's like, he doesn't care about global conquest. He's kind of in his own right a ruler. When we finally see him, he's like on a throne in like a deserted planet. He's kind of like his own Thanos for a certain point in time. So he doesn't really care about certain things like what Frieza cares about, which is ruling the entire solar system, if you will. But then when you hear about this stuff, now he has to go on the offense, which is really cool. I really like that about Cooler, where he had this entire intention of the only reasoning behind going to Earth to fight Goku is because of Frieza dying, but more or less the idea of why Frieza died than the actual fact that he was killed by Goku, which is really interesting. I really like that whole motive and the motive of the villain, which is really cool. Nonetheless, Cooler brings his new team, which are titled the Cooler Armored Squadron or whatever, which is a spin-off of Ginyu Force, obviously, which were pretty interesting. I prefer the Ginyu Force more, but that's just my personal opinion. They go to Earth, obviously, to take revenge and start destroying the planet, defeating the Z-Warriors. Goku and, Piccolo and everybody else have their kind of little off time in trying to take down the squadron, let alone Cooler. Piccolo basically gets demolished. Goku gets mortally injured in the conflict between Cooler and the Z Warriors, and they have to go hide out, which is a really interesting thing that I don't really like. That they kind of ran away. I kind of stated this before in multiple other DBZ reviews, but I'm not really big on Z Warriors running away, and it's not really the fact that they ran away. It's just that Goku, at this point in time, had the power to defeat Cooler. He's stronger than Cooler. He knows that. But for some reason, they wrote into the story that, okay, he gets really injured protecting his son Gohan from Cooler's blast or whatever, and gets mortally injured to the point he needs senzu beans. That's the one thing I really found really odd about that movie. That happened. It's like, that would never happen. Why is it that happened? That doesn't make any sense. Like, the android threat and how that happened and how Goku had to leave the fight makes sense. That's obviously more interesting because A, he had a heart virus, he was pretty much dying, and B, Android 19 or whatever, Android 19 was absorbing all his energy. So it made sense that he had to leave. But in this kind of scenario, he leaves because he was, shot in the back, basically, and fell into the ocean. That's essentially it. I just found that a really stupid plot point. But nonetheless, we move on from there. We have some interesting scenarios with Gohan trying to find some senzu beans from, the watchtower with Korin and Yajirobe, which Korin, I don't know why he was such a douche in this movie. Why was Korin such a douche in this movie? Like, he found it so disrespectful that Gohan had to, get senzu beans from him. It's like, what the heck? Like, in the anime, you're not really that much of a... Korin's a good little cat. He fucking helps out when he needs to, and he's also kind of a teacher or what have you. But in this movie, he's kind of a douche. And, Yajirobe's kind of the good guy. Which is, how does that work? It's supposed to be the opposite, where Yajirobe's kind of the douche, and then Korin is more of the nice guy. I don't know what the heck they were doing. I don't know. There's a lot of weird things that go on in this movie. Nonetheless, on top of this, we have some really interesting moments with Gohan trying to escape the squadron. Piccolo comes in, try and saves him and stuff. They have this nice little battle and fight and stuff. The funny thing about this, I think this is the last movie to ever feature Icarus. Because there's a specific sequence where Icarus kind of gets shot and he goes down and plummets to the earth. And Gohan's like, oh god, Icarus. But I think that's the last time we actually see him. And we never know what ever happened to him. Did Icarus die? Or did he fucking survive? I don't know. But it's an interesting thought that I want to know people's comments below. Because I don't think that specific plot point ever had resolution. Did Icarus die or not? I want to freaking know. I fucking don't know. Personally, I don't think they ever featured him again in the movie. Maybe they did. I don't really remember. I have to, I guess, rewatch some movies. But from my recollection, I don't think Icarus, this is his last ever premiere in a fucking movie. Which is really odd. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. But of course, Gohan leaves. Piccolo's trying to save the day. He comes across Cooler. Cooler obviously just destroys him and demolishes him. Amazing shot. I love that image of just Piccolo just gets blasted in the chest and then BAM! He just sees Cooler and he's he thinks he's Frieza because they obviously look so alike with the exception of their color. He just gets blasted to hell. It was an amazing shot. Very graphic though, but fucking amazing. Nonetheless, we go back into real time where we get back to Goku, freaking Cooler's gang comes in, basically, tries to stop them from giving Goku the senzu beans. Most of them get destroyed with the exception of one. And of course, Goku comes to the offensive, defeats not really defeats any of them. The only actual, real Squadron member that's still alive at this point, which I think is the character Sauza, which gets demolished by Goku's ki, and then we get to the finals boss battle, of course, Cooler versus Goku. Amazing fight. The music definitely plays a huge factor in this. I mentioned this before. Lord Slug was the first one to feature an American soundtrack, which I personally prefer. Let me know what you personally think. Japanese soundtrack versus American soundtrack. Personally, I go with the American soundtrack, specifically for these movies. It just fits more. It just fits better. And I personally wish they would do that for all of them. But nonetheless, getting back into the story, Goku and Cooler prove to be evenly matched in their standard forms. And then, of course, Cooler comes out with the offensive and becomes stronger than Goku by featuring the newest transformation in the series of transformations of the Frieza saga, the Frieza transformations, if we will. As we all know, the third form is the final form. Not including what's happening in Fugatsu no F. That comes later. Nonetheless, in this movie, we feature a new transformation that, of course, is solely Cooler's, where he basically changes his entire body and form into like this more demonic-looking character, and he becomes possibly 10 times more larger than he actually already is. I personally love that fucking design. I personally think I think Toriyama created the design of that character, of that design of transformation, if I'm not mistaken. It looks so badass. I personally love it. I know a lot of people were like, into Fugatsu no F, they were like, oh no, Frieza needs to look like that. It's not canon, so it doesn't really come into play, but this transformation, I do see why a lot of people would actually like it and prefer it, because it does look badass. The design of the face, the look of the horns, the way it changes his voice, that little shield, metal shield that covers his mouth or what have you, looks fucking awesome. How big and red his demonic eyes look. Really awesome design. I really personally love it. I like the new Frieza, the golden Frieza design for Fugatsu no F. I like it. But this one is also really badass. It's definitely on par, or maybe even better, depending on your personal preference. But of course, that new transformation proves too powerful for Goku. Goku's Kaioken or Kamehameha Wave, for none of his attacks are really proving successful in the fight, which of course leads Cooler defeating Goku, demolishing him into the ground, which looked amazing with his gigantic fucking foot. He had like these Hulk hands and these Hulk feet. I don't know how size difference came into play, but Jesus, his foot was practically bigger than his entire body, so I guess that can come into play, the size difference between these characters. So yeah, he got demolished into the ground, basically, and this is where the linchpin that connects everything together, which is, of course, this amazing, beautiful shot of Cooler basically destroying the planet using his ki telekinesis, whatever the hell you want to call it, destroying the planet. And, of course, Goku witnessing everything that he loves kind of dying at his feet, which leads him to become the Super Saiyan, which, personally, in my opinion, that one shot of Goku becoming a Super Saiyan, beautifully done, animation-wise. I love the Deftones, too, the song change coming into play with that specific sequence. Amazing. I love it. But the one thing I love more is the look of Goku and how that is shown. Personally, that I prefer. There's only 2 Super Saiyan transformations that I love in this series more than this. A, his first transformation against Frieza, and how that looks, where you see Goku from behind, and the aura just flowing from his body. Amazing, beautiful shot. Awesome. Best shot ever. Second one has to be, personally, I guess, when Goku transforms in front of the androids. That's also really well done, Super Saiyan-wise. Next one is this one. This one is, hands down, one of the best Goku standard Super Saiyan transformations ever. There may be a little more better ones here and there, but this one was the shit. This one is epic, it's badass, the music works. Everything about it, animation-wise, looks so fucking badass. I'm surprised that's not my fucking wallpaper. Need to fucking make that. Nonetheless, that's fucking awesome. Well, at the end of the day, Goku beats the hell out of Cooler using his Super Saiyan transformation. Cooler's obviously incapable of beating Goku as a Super Saiyan, which, of course, he uses his last real resort, which is of course that gigantic supernova beam that Frieza kind of used to destroy planet Namek, which he uses to try and destroy planet Earth, which I fucking loved. I love the design and how Goku kind of blocks it and defeats it, and he just shoots out an amazing Kamehameha wave to just blow it out of the water and just shoot it back at Cooler, and of course it ends with a big gigantic blaze of glory, destruction everywhere, sun blows up. How is it possible that they still have light after that? It is fucking illogical, but we're not gonna care because it's fucking Dragon Ball Z. Cooler's defeated, the day is saved, Goku wins. They wonder where the hell Piccolo's at. He's okay. He's over there drinking some water because that's what Namekians do. Nonetheless, this movie is definitely one of my favorites. There's a little things that, looking back at it, I really don't like the fact that it took so long for Goku to become a Super Saiyan, and also the fact that Goku could have defeated Cooler at any point because of how strong he was as a Super Saiyan. Nonetheless, there's still a lot of awesome things about this. I love some interesting plot points. I like the Super Saiyan transformation, Cooler's transformation, design-wise, amazing. The American soundtrack I prefer. It's fucking awesome. Deftones, awesome. There's just a lot of things I like about this movie, amongst more than the negative shit. But nonetheless, I give this a good 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10. It's definitely a good, solid movie, and I definitely prefer a lot of people check it out. But nonetheless, that has been my review for Cooler's Revenge. In the comment section below, let me know what you personally think about Cooler's Revenge. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think about Icarus? Whatever happened to Icarus? Let me know what you think about the Super Saiyan transformation. Also, let me know what you think about the Battle of Gods commentary. Which version would you like? Theatrical extended edition? Let me know all about this. Cooler's transformation. Do you prefer that over Golden Frieza? What is better about it in comparison? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And next time, I'm going to give you my review for the return of Cooler. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Been John 12.